Unterhaltsvorschuss in Germany. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, The Life in Germany. Imagine you're raising your child mainly on your own. Rent, groceries, clothing, school, or kindergarten costs, and transportation still have to be paid. But the child maintenance payment from the other parent doesn't arrive. Maybe nothing is being paid. Maybe the payments are irregular. Or maybe they're simply too low. Germany has a benefit designed to help financially protect children in situations like this. It's called Unterhaltsvorschuss. Today, I'll explain what it means, which persons may qualify, how much may be paid, and how to apply. What does Unterhaltsvorschuss mean? Let's start by making this long German word easier. Unterhalt means maintenance or financial support. In this context, it means the financial contribution a parent is expected to make toward supporting their child. Vorschuss means an advance. Put them together and you get Unterhaltsvorschuss. In simple English, you can think of it as a maintenance advance. The basic principle is straightforward. A child should not suddenly lose important financial support simply because the other parent pays no maintenance, pays too little, or doesn't pay regularly. If the legal requirements are met, the state can provide Unterhaltsvorschuss. But remember one important distinction from the beginning. This benefit is intended for the child. And when the state provides Unterhaltsvorschuss, the other parent's maintenance obligation does not automatically disappear. We'll return to that later. Which person may qualify? Now let's look at the basic eligibility requirements. Generally, the child must live in Germany with a parent who is raising the child predominantly alone. At the same time, the child must not be receiving sufficient regular maintenance from the other parent. There are several ways this can happen. The other parent might pay nothing. The payments might be irregular. Or some maintenance might be paid, but the amount is below the applicable Unterhaltsvorschuss amount. The benefit can generally be available until the child reaches the age of 18, provided the relevant requirements continue to be satisfied. Here's another important point, especially if you're a working single parent. The single parent's income is generally not deducted from Unterhaltsvorschuss, so having a job does not automatically mean your child cannot qualify. Even if you're earning your own salary, your child may still be eligible if the other conditions are satisfied. However, don't confuse this with the additional rules for older children. Once a child reaches the age of 12, additional conditions apply. And one of those conditions involves a figure of €600 in a specific situation. So let's look at that carefully. Special rules for children aged 12 to 17. For children aged 12 to 17, additional conditions apply. In simplified terms, one possible route is that the child does not receive benefits under Germany's SGB II system. Another possibility is that receiving Unterhaltsvorschuss would allow the child to avoid dependency under that system. There is also a special condition involving a single parent who receives Bürgergeld. In the relevant situation, entitlement may exist if that parent has their own gross monthly income of at least €600. But this number needs to be understood correctly. The €600 figure is not a universal income threshold for every Unterhaltsvorschuss applicant. It relates to the additional conditions for children aged 12 to 17 in the relevant Bürgergeld situation. If your child is in this age group and your household receives Bürgergeld, ask the responsible Unterhaltsvorschussstelle to assess your exact circumstances. Foreign families and resident status. Now let's answer an important question for international families. Does your child have to be German to receive Unterhaltsvorschuss? Not necessarily. Children with foreign citizenship who live in Germany may also qualify. However, the exact requirements can depend on nationality, residence rights, the type of Aufenthaltstitel, meaning residence permit, and the family's individual circumstances. So don't automatically assume, I'm not German, therefore my child cannot qualify. At the same time, don't assume that every residence status automatically creates an entitlement. Residence rules can be complicated. If this applies to your family, have your exact residence situation checked by the responsible Unterhaltsvorschussstelle. Paternity and cooperation. What happens if paternity has not yet officially been established? That does not automatically rule out Unterhaltsvorschuss. However, cooperation with the authority is important. The applying parent may need to provide available information about the other parent. You may also need to cooperate with appropriate steps to establish paternity or determine where the other parent lives. Refusing required cooperation without an applicable reason can affect entitlement. If your circumstances are unusual or complicated, explain them directly to the responsible authority. When might there be no entitlement? There are also circumstances where Unterhaltsvorschuss may not be available or may end. For example, entitlement can be affected if you begin living together with the child's other parent again. If sufficient maintenance is already being paid regularly, Unterhaltsvorschuss may also not be payable. Marriage or a registered partnership with a new partner can affect entitlement under the applicable rules, and refusing required cooperation concerning paternity or the other parent can create problems. Family situations aren't always easy to fit into simple examples. That's why individual circumstances matter. If you're uncertain whether a particular family or living arrangement affects entitlement, ask the responsible authority to assess your individual case. How much may be paid? Now let's answer one of the biggest questions. How much Unterhaltsvorschuss may be paid? The official federal information currently lists the following amounts, effective from 1st January 2025. For children aged 0 to 5, up to €227 per month. For children aged 6 to 11, up to €299 per month. And for children aged 12 to 17, up to €394 per month. But pay close attention to the date. Benefit amounts can change, and the maximum amount for an age group is not necessarily what every child will actually receive. If the other parent already pays some maintenance, that can reduce the Unterhaltsvorschuss payment. A half-orphan's pension can also affect the amount. And for certain older children who are no longer attending a general education school, their own income can be relevant to the calculation. So don't treat these maximum amounts as a guaranteed payment. Always check the current figures on an official German government website before applying or making financial decisions. When should you apply? When should you apply? The practical answer is, as soon as the maintenance problem becomes clear. Don't wait several months and assume that everything can automatically be paid retrospectively. Retroactive payment is limited. Under qualifying conditions, Unterhaltsvorschuss can be paid retrospectively for at most the month immediately before the month in which the application is submitted. But conditions apply. In particular, reasonable efforts to get the other parent to fulfill their maintenance obligation can be relevant. So if maintenance stops, becomes irregular, or is insufficient, investigate your options promptly. The simple takeaway is, apply promptly rather than waiting unnecessarily. Where do you apply? So where do you apply? The application goes to the responsible Unterhaltsvorschussstelle. This is generally associated with the Jugendamt responsible for your place of residence. Depending on your municipality, an electronic application may also be available. A useful way to find the correct authority online is to search for Unterhaltsvorschuss plus the name of your city or Landkreis. Then make sure you're using an official website belonging to the government, municipality, or responsible authority. Don't rely on an unofficial blog, forum, or social media post for the final application requirements. Which documents may you need? Now we come to a familiar part of German bureaucracy, the documents. The exact requirements can vary by municipality and individual case, so there isn't one universal checklist that covers every family. However, you should be prepared for several commonly requested documents. First, the completed Unterhaltsvorschuss application form. You'll normally need identification, such as an identity card or passport. You'll usually need the child's Geburtsurkunde, meaning birth certificate. If paternity has already been formally acknowledged, documentation relating to the Vaterschaftsanerkennung may be requested. If an Unterhaltstitel, court decision, maintenance agreement, or another document establishing the maintenance obligation already exists, have that available. The authority may also request evidence showing how much maintenance has actually been received. That could include appropriate records showing missed, irregular, or partial payments. Depending on your circumstances, separation or divorce documents may also be relevant. For applicants with foreign citizenship, passports and relevant residence documents may be required depending on the situation. You'll generally need bank details so that an approved payment can be made. For children aged 12 to 17, additional documents may be necessary because of the special eligibility rules for that age group. These could concern Bürgergeld or SGB2 benefits, the parent's relevant income, the child's school situation, or the child's own income where applicable, and the responsible authority can request additional evidence depending on your particular case. So use this as a preparation guide, not as a definitive checklist. Before submitting your application, always check the current document requirements on the official website of your responsible Unterhaltsvorschussstelle. What happens after approval? Now suppose the application is approved. Does receiving Unterhaltsvorschuss mean that the other parent's maintenance responsibility simply disappears? Where the legal requirements are met, maintenance claims can transfer to the state to the extent that Unterhaltsvorschuss has been paid. The authority may then investigate the maintenance obligation and whether the other parent was financially able to pay. Where appropriate, the state can seek recovery from that parent. So Unterhaltsvorschuss should not simply be thought of as free money. The purpose of the system is to help secure financial support for the child when sufficient regular maintenance from the other parent is missing. The state stepping in does not automatically release the other parent from their legal responsibilities. Changes you should report after Unterhaltsvorschuss has been approved. Relevant changes should be reported promptly. These can include moving to a new address, the child moving out, marriage, or beginning to live with the child's other parent again. You should also report relevant changes if maintenance payments start or the amount changes. The death of the other parent can also be relevant. And depending on the child's circumstances, changes in the child's own income may need to be reported. This matters because changed circumstances can affect entitlement or the amount being paid. Quick summary. Let's quickly summarize. 1. Unterhaltsvorschuss is intended to financially protect children when sufficient regular maintenance from the other parent is missing. 2. Children under 18 may qualify when the applicable requirements are met. 3. Additional conditions apply to children aged 12 to 17. 4. If maintenance stops or becomes insufficient, investigate Unterhaltsvorschuss promptly and contact your responsible Unterhaltsvorschussstelle. And 5. Rules, amounts, residence requirements, and document requirements can change, so always verify the current information through an official German government or responsible local authority website. Disclaimer: this video is provided solely for educational and general informational purposes and does not constitute legal, financial, immigration, or official government advice. German laws, eligibility requirements, benefit amounts, application procedures, and required documents can change, and individual circumstances may affect entitlement. Always verify the latest information on an official German government website or directly with your responsible Unterhaltsvorschussstelle or Jugendamt before applying or making decisions. No entitlement, payment amount, application outcome, or processing result is guaranteed by the information presented in this video. And that's Unterhaltsvorschuss in Germany explained. Subscribe to Life in Germany for simple explanations of German bureaucracy and everyday life. Bye.